Hello, beautiful people. I am Nikki, and this is a night of horror where I talk horror movies and sometimes other genres and TV shows. In this video, I will be discussing season 3, episode 3 of the series From. We are going to start with Fatima and Tilly. Now, everyone is very suspicious of Tilly. They think she's some type of plant. They think she's a part of like the From, and she's a mole and all of these things. And I felt that way initially when we first met Tilly in last season. I'm not on board with that one anymore. I think for Tilly to be a plant or mold, that would be terrible writing because she's just so weird. And not only is she weird, but she is always in these moments where things kind of conveniently happen. For example, when Tilly goes to bring her morphine and Marielle is there and she hears and then she falls off the wagon. Like, it would just be way too on the nose, in my opinion, for Tilly to be a mole or working from or something along those lines. So I don't think Tilly is any of those things. I think that Tilly is just a regular person who ended up here like everyone else. But I do feel like in this episode with the things, with the cards, I think there is something that the From is trying to stop Tilly from revealing. But let's get into it. Fatima is smelling food cooking in the kitchen. She's smelling meat cooking, the cow. It makes her sick. I don't blame you. The smell of meat makes me want to vomit as well. But she goes outside and there is a pile of rotten crops. And of course she starts chowing down. But what I found interesting is Fatima still looks very sickly. Like, eating these crops, like finally eating something, isn't helping her to look better or look healthy. Whatever's inside of her is obviously getting whatever it needs from this stuff. But I'm like, she still looks like the life is being drained out of her. But what I thought was odd, you're sneaking and doing this. I would have grabbed up some crops, went and hid somewhere. She's literally just standing outside, out in the open, eating these crops. But what's also getting me is I'm like, girl, are you not concerned yourself about what's happening to you? Because eating this rotten food is obviously like something's odd. And especially when you're in from land. Because there are odd symptoms when women are pregnant, but we're in From. So that magnifies my concern that something could be wrong if I'm Fatima. But we end up seeing Tilly getting clothes off of the lines and she ends up seeing Fatima. And this is what I mean by it would be too on the nose for Tilly to be working for evil or working from. She always kind of is conveniently in a certain place or has these offhand remarks and different things with other people, and she knows like different things. She knew Fatima was pregnant. It would just be too on the nose. So I just feel like it's not going to be anything that glaringly obvious. Tilly ends up going to Fatima in her room and she's like, I used to lick eggshells when I was pregnant with my first child. And I would sneak them out of the garbage can when my husband wasn't looking, and whatever's happening, I promise you it'll pass. And I mean, stuff like that is true. I know someone personally, my cousin, when she was pregnant, she would eat soap. Yeah, she would eat bars of soap. It was very strange. It was very odd. I think she only did it until her second trimester. But women be having some odd things go on when they're pregnant, okay? So I don't know why people is ever confused as to why I don't ever want to get pregnant. My cousin, another cousin as well, had like mouth would make excessive amounts of spit. I mean excessive. Like she would have to walk around with the cup all day just spitting. It's disgusting. But yeah, I mean, not disgusting like I don't want to be mean because she couldn't control it. That was just her body during pregnancy. So Tilly is pretty much trying to reassure her that things like this, odd things, it happens when you're pregnant. You're eating rotten food. But I just still feel like, baby, we in the From. Like, if I'm pregnant eating soap in the real world, okay. But if I'm pregnant eating soap in the From, baby, something wrong. Now, what I thought was odd is Fatima ends up talking to Tilly and saying, like, I can't talk to anyone. I can't even talk to Ellis. That's very confusing to me that she feels like she can't even talk to Ellis. I very much see Ellis being one of those people. You know how you watch one of those zombie movies and there's a married couple or a couple that's in love and the girl gets bit and the guy's like, he won't let nobody kill her. Like, she's just sick. Like, we just got to get her help. Like, that's what Ellis strikes me as. Like, even if Tilly, because you know my theory is that Fatima is turning into one of the night creatures. Even if that turns out to be true, Ellis does not strike me as that person that's going to like kill her. It strikes me as this would be a secret between them. He wouldn't tell his dad, he wouldn't tell Donna, he wouldn't tell nobody, and he wouldn't let nobody kill her or hurt her. Like, that's what Ellis strikes me as. But I also find it weird, you can't really talk to anyone, but you can talk to basically a stranger. Like, she don't really know Tilly. Just because she's somebody that was pregnant before and tells you that she did something weird. I know, I just found it odd that she feels like she can't talk to anyone, but she opens up to Tilly. But anyway, she's telling Tilly how she was never supposed to be able to conceive. She was, never meant to be a mom. And I would like to know why was she told she can't have kids? Like, what exactly was the diagnosis of why she can't get pregnant? So Tilly ends up telling Fatima, you want to know if your baby is okay, if everything is fine, let's find out. And she goes to get these tarot cards out of her bags. And at first Fatima is like really upset, like, I can't believe you would do something and play around when I'm being serious. And Tilly goes to tell her, like, okay, you don't believe in tarot cards, but before you ran across that tree in the road, I bet you didn't believe in half the stuff you see here and that goes on here. But I do find it odd that we're in a place like this and you're like scoffing at tarot cards. Like, like, baby, you're in a town, you can't leave. Tarot cards are the least weird thing here. So Tilly goes to tell Fatima, hey, these cards, I didn't believe in them either. A woman, brought them into my life. These cards told me about my cancer. These cards foretold being in the from. And why Fatima did not ask Tilly how the cards foretold the from bewilders me. Because, baby, I would have wanted to know, like, and even with the cancer, I would have wanted to know, okay, how did it tell you about your cancer? How did it tell you about from? But Tilly goes to pull out the cards and she asks Fatima to ask her question. And Fatima says, is my baby okay? Baby, that ain't the question I would ask. First of all, I wouldn't have said, is my baby okay? I would have said, is this a human baby inside of me? Like, we got to get specific, baby. We in the from. Because your baby could be okay. But whatever the from has conjured up inside of you, that's the baby is okay. But we need to know, is it human? And just as Tilly is getting the cards and saying, let's see what the cards say, a bird crashes into the window, startles them, and then crashes, like breaks through the window. And I can't help but wonder, what is the town trying to stop Tilly from revealing with her cards? I don't think Tilly is evil. I think there is something Tilly was about to reveal with these tarot cards. But I will say, how long are we going to drag out the Fatima pregnancy storyline? Obviously, it takes 9 months for a pregnancy. But, I mean, like, the question of what's happening to her, what's inside of her. And I also feel like if the writers don't know what to do with Elgin, can we just stop showing him or kill him off? I'm tired of seeing that boy sleeping. When the damn raven crashed through, I think it was a raven, crashed through the window, Elgin on the sofa sleeping. Baby, what have we seen Elgin do besides sleep and have his little dream of the woman in the kimono? I enjoyed this episode, but I want stuff to progress a little faster. Like, how long are we going to drag out Boyd and his whole plan? So we have Ellis and Boyd is talking to Ellis about his plan to capture one of the creatures, which you should know your son. I don't know why he went to Ellis. Like, I really don't. Donna ends up coming in, wanting to know what they're talking about. And of course, Ellis ain't got no real loyalty to his dad, child. He's just like, either you tell her or I'ma tell her. Donna is just negative Nancy these days. She's against the plan. And Boyd is like, those things show up every single night and we still have no idea what they are, where they come from, or what we're dealing with. And Boyd feels like we have to do something. And I gotta be honest, I am on board with Boyd and his plan. I don't think it's irrational. I don't think it's a stupid plan. I think in order to fight anything, in order to solve any problem, you need as much information as possible. It's like a reoccurring theme in my life that I hate making decisions. Like, I really do. Like, I hate making decisions. And my thing is, I want the full scope. Like, I feel like you can only make as good of a decision as you can with the information presented to you. And I hate not having a full picture and all the information. So I feel like it makes perfect sense for us to try to capture one of these things. Now, do we need to come up with like the best possible way to catch one of these things? Yes. But I don't think it's stupid. I don't think Boyd is like going off the deep end in any way. I think we need to catch one of these things. I think we need to, why the hell we ain't set that fire down in the tunnels? Like, we need to do something and be proactive. And he's feeling like, I'm trying to think of something. And Donna's just like, well, she snaps at him. And I'm just like, Ellis is a punk. He's useless. And Donna getting on my last nerves because she's just negative and shooting down everyone's ideas. Donna is always just shooting down plans, but never has a plan of her own. Like, even with the rotten vegetables and produce and bad soil, she was just freaking out. And it was T. Chin who came up with an idea. Like, I can't stand those people who are going to complain but don't have a solution. Who are going to diss your idea but they don't have a better idea. Like, either contribute or shut the fuck up. Like that. That's how I feel. Now we end up seeing Boyd and dead Father Khatri, and I really loved Father Khatri. He was one of my personal favorite characters, but I'm not the biggest fan of them keep showing reoccurring dead Father Khatri. I feel like obviously, well, I guess I won't say obviously because we don't have an answer to any damn thing. Not one thing at all since season 1. But for me, I feel like he's obviously a part of the From. Like, this is something the From is conjuring up and playing with Boyd. Kind of like how he saw his dead wife. Kind of like how Thomas is calling Jim on the phone. But I'm just kind of, where are we going with this? What's the point? Why does he keep showing up? So it's wearing thin on me at this point. But Boyd is building a memorial because he feels like we have all these unmarked graves. We need something to like remember people and have their names up. Father Khatri, dead Father Khatri, is trying to convince Boyd not to do this whole plan of catching one of those things. He goes to tell Boyd how the creatures told you they wanted to break you, and that means they want to change you, and look at what you're doing now. So you're going to just trap one of those things in a house and do what? Go in when it's daylight and search room for room until it jumps out and rips you to shreds. And this is what I mean by, I don't think this is a bad idea necessarily. I just think we need a good plan to go about it. I don't think trying to trap it in a house is a good idea because that's a huge space. I want to be able to trap it in something. Like later on, we'll get into the bear trap. Like, I'd rather do something where it's literally trapped, or like how we have that box we put people in. I'd rather like trap it. I don't want to put it in something huge and I have to search for it. That isn't making much sense to me. Now we end up seeing Boyd going into the diner, and we have the bus driver who we haven't seen, and I don't even remember when, child. She's in there cleaning up with Ethan, and I completely forgot. And this is what I mean by, like, mysteries for me aren't fun if dots don't connect and nothing goes anywhere. There's been so many things that just happen that I'm forgetting about a lot of stuff. The bus driver reminded us in this episode about the nursery rhyme from her grandmother that was revealed in season 2. That correlates with the From. I completely forgot about that. There's just so many things that has gone nowhere. The thing that really sticks out in my mind, 2 things, is Victor and Ethan measuring the trees and saying they were moving. Nothing ever happened with that. The whole thing of Victor saying there's never been a time where 2 cars came at the same time other than when we had that big massacre. Nothing came of this being the only other time 2 cars came. Like, there's so many things that just happening. It's just questions on top of questions on top of questions. to the point that I'm forgetting things. But I feel like they don't know what to do with LJ, and I feel like they don't know what to do with Ethan. I really liked Ethan until season 3. Ethan is starting to get on my absolute last nerve. I prefer him to be in his childlike mind on his quest. Because now he's negative Nancy, and Boyd tells him, we're not giving up on your mom. Ethan is like, maybe you should. But my thing is, do we not know what... I'm trying to remember. I know Tabitha had a conversation with Jim, but do we not know what Tabitha was trying to do, and that she's trying to free the children? And like, if she made it home and escaped the From, how would we know? Like, for Ethan, why are we jumping to she's dead? Because if she actually escaped From, how the hell would we know that she was in the real world? Ethan's whole attitude of like his mom is dead is irking my nerves. And it reminds me of The Walking Dead when the group got split up because the governor attacked the prison. And Maggie was like convinced that her sister is dead or Glenn was dead or something like that. And it was irking my nerves so bad because, baby, if you're alive and you made it out, why is it like far-fetched that your loved ones made it as well? Like, Maggie was just so convinced that they were dead. And it's irking me that Ethan is just... They're just making Ethan annoying. He's just on my nerve. Now, we end up seeing Randall on the bus, and he ends up seeing a bug on the window, and then all of a sudden, there are a bunch of bugs swarming him. And I feel like this was the... Baby, what is them bugs called they was seeing? That old girl brother who's dead, Sarah's brother, was afraid of. Was it crickets? Locusts? Something along those lines. Whatever the bugs were that Randall and the other 2 people saw in their trance, it seems like that's still kind of lingering because the bugs are swarming him and they're not actually there. He's kind of seeing things. And it reminds me of, so I just was on a guest on someone's live talking about From, and everybody is on board with the town hating Sarah. And I'm the only person that's like, no, we're being too harsh. I don't hate Sarah. We shouldn't hate Sarah. And one of the arguments were, how do we know she's not going to do something again? And my thing is, how do we know anyone isn't going to freak out and do something? We had old boy who shot Boyd. We had Randall and Julie and Marielle who was in this trance. The From can take over anyone's mind. It can make anyone crazy. Like, it's not just Sarah. Like, literally every single solitary person could do anything at any moment. And this reminds me of why I feel that way. Like, this whole thing with breaking the music box with that's another thing that we ain't got no kind of clue, nothing connected, whatever. But breaking that music box, breaking their whole trance, obviously something is still there and something still has something on their mind. And even Julie went to Sarah and said, I feel like this place has gotten into my head now. Like, we don't know what anybody is going to do at any moment. We're all seeing things and not telling anybody we're seeing things. So anybody can crack at any moment and this place can get into their heads and make them hurt somebody or do anything. But Boyd ends up popping up. And of course, we don't tell nobody we're seeing things. So Randall just doesn't say nothing. But Boyd is like, look, we're going to switch today. You take the sheriff's station. I'll take the bus. And Randall wants to know why. And Boyd is like, I think it's time we change things up around here. And I'm feeling like Boyd should use himself as bait to try to get one of these things on the bus. And then we trap it on the bus somehow with the totem. And I said before that I don't think the townspeople focus enough on not being safe during the daytime. Like, we're so focused on nighttime and the creatures that we aren't realizing the From is constantly listening to us during the daytime. Like, the From, the creatures, it will pull out stuff that was said during the daytime. So I don't even think it's a good idea for Boyd to be saying out loud that he's going to trap one of these things, because the From hears all of these things. But I also feel like I said, I would have never went to Ellis for this plan. I kind of feel like I would have went to Randall off bat. No, I don't like Randall. No, I wouldn't trust him to save my life or help me. But we just need somebody that's going to be down with the get down. Like, we just need somebody that's going to be there for us to pull this damn thing off. And I feel like Randall would do it. Like, he would be down to do something. Jim is still answering this damn phone with this From entity that's telling him, I'm your dead infant child that died. So Boyd is the voice ends up telling Jim, Ethan and Julie shouldn't be out so close to it getting dark. So Jim runs outside to get them. Boyd is out there ringing the bell. Jim is yelling at Ethan and Julie to come inside. And Boyd is like, are you okay? What's going on? Baby, do we also not know what to do with Jim? I haven't liked Jim since season 1, but he's getting worse. Because why the hell do we have to write in Jim saying to Boyd, things are getting worse around here, aren't they? It reminds me of Forrest Whitaker character in Species when he's supposed to be like psychic or something, but he walks into a bloody crime scene and he says something terrible happened here. Like, why is the psychic making obvious deductions? Like, why do we need Jim saying things are getting worse around here, aren't they? Bitches being worse from the start. Like, what are you talking about, Jim? And this is why I feel like, how long are we going to spend dragging out certain storylines? I feel like there's a lot of like wasted time on insignificant dialogue. We didn't need this whole thing. Why not tell Boyd about the phone call? Why are the animals still being kept outside overnight? Like, am I an idiot? We can't put goats and cows inside the house, inside the building, inside the barn with a totem so the monsters can't get to them. Why was Ethan and Julie out here feeding the animals, getting ready for it to be dark, and the animals are just outside still? I'm confused. But we have Julie, Ethan, and Jim in the house, and Jim is making dinner or something, cooking, whatever. And Ethan goes to say, like, who would bury mom? Like, if somebody finds her someday and she's only bones, they won't know who she is. And he just kind of keeps going on. And Jim gets upset. Ethan ends up running out of the room. Julie runs after him, and the phone immediately rings. Jim finally does something smart. The first smart thing he's done in 3 seasons. He doesn't engage, which I didn't know why he was engaging or entertaining the phone calls at all. He just doesn't engage with phone calls, kind of like picks the phone up off the hook, hangs it back up. Obviously, the phone ringing, all of this stuff is in Jim's head. The kids didn't hear the phone ring. We already know phones don't work in From. Now, let's get to Victor and Sarah, because last episode I said how Victor was telling him he has to go. He wasn't at T-Chin's funeral, and I was very curious as to where's Victor and what is he doing. So Victor has a little map in his hand that looks like it was drawn with crayon or whatever, and he goes to dig up something in the yard, dig up this suitcase. He ends up going to Sarah's house with the suitcase he dug up, and he's like, do you have a blanket? We need to build the fort. I'm going to tell you a story. And then that's all we get. Again, dragging out storylines. Like, we're literally getting the teeniest of pieces of a storyline, like, each episode. We could have had Victor telling them kids, Ethan and Julie, I gotta go. Dig up the suitcase. We could have did all that last episode. Go to Sarah's house. And in this episode, we could have saw them build the fort and tell the motherfucking story. Like, I just feel like we're getting such teensy little pieces and are just dragging them out. But, I still love this show, but whatever. But I'm going to nitpick that because I feel like that's annoying. Now, we have Kenny, Christy, Jade, and some other townspeople going out to get food from where Kenny and, Jim were when they found all of the good produce. And we come across those little, like, totems that one of the townspeople is, like, scared of. And I find it really interesting that I literally said last episode that the townspeople are useless and why does nobody do anything to help out except for the regular people we always see. And in this episode, we got some townspeople helping out. One townsperson we know, I think if I remember correctly, he's the one who stabbed Ellis. But Jade is saying how he feels like the totems might be used in the same way that the talismans are used to ward off evil spirits. And I really like Jade, and I really want the writers to utilize him and do more with his character. I feel like I've really, really liked Jade since we were introduced to him. But it's like, recently we only see Jade getting drunk, being his charming a-hole self. He really doesn't do anything. It's really annoying me. But I found it so crazy that Jade was in the background doing something while they're trying to get up food. And one of the townspeople got the nerve to call Jade dead weight. Like, y'all don't do not. What the hell do y'all be doing in Colony House? Like, anytime we gotta traipse into the woods or go on a mission or do something to save people or try to get out of here, y'all ain't never there. How dare you call Jade dead weight? Like, it's dead weight calling dead weight. Like, Jade ends up getting annoyed, going off by himself, and he finds these like red giant boulders on the ground, and he sees a guy having visions again, pinned to a tree with like a nail in his head, and he grabs Jade, and one of the townspeople ends up coming over, and he can't see the man. Jade is just having visions. Jade ends up getting really shook and wanting to leave, and I really didn't understand why we didn't just let him go. Kenny is trying to get him to stay. Christy is trying to get him to stay, and saying how it's late, it's getting dark, you don't have enough time to get back to town. He's a grown behind adult. He's lived in from long enough to know how things work here. Like, I'm not chasing after you. I'm not holding a grown person's hand. I'm not babysitting a grown person. It just didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Christy literally chases after Jade, trying to tell him he's going the wrong way, and she ends up stepping in a bear trap and getting stuck. And I like Kenny, but they don't write him very likable. Kenny is pretty terrible. He acts like a child with his attitude. He had an attitude with Christy when she was just trying to like be nice to him when we were getting the produce and stuff. He has an attitude with Jade when Christy gets stuck in the bear trap. But what happens here is we're trying to get her out of the bear trap. Jade ends up pulling up one of the statues in order to have leverage to get her out, which we managed to do. But I personally think this will have dire consequences. And I found it interesting that when we first get here, Jade has a vision of the impaled guy stuck to the tree. After he pulls up one of the totem thingies, the impaled guy is now not stuck to the tree. He's like drinking from a skull. But Jade has seen a few people like eye is impaled, missing an eye. Is Jade going to end up losing an eye? But I have to say, I was kind of frustrated with this episode because I was frustrated with season 2, and I felt like I was done with the show because, like I said, it's just questions on top of questions and mysteries on top of mysteries. No dots connect. It feels like things just happen for no rhyme or reason. Things just happen. But I got so excited last episode when we found the paintings in Victor's parents' basement, and we saw like the guy from Jay's vision in previous, like the first season. I thought we were finally about to start connecting dots, but no, we're not. So I'm just frustrated. Kenny and Jim were safe when they stayed out here. I don't think we're going to be so lucky this time. And I think it's because Jade pulled up that totem. And I really feel like characters are getting dumber and not smarter. Like, I feel like I would be in such desperation with our current condition and wanting to escape that we would be more open and less like keeping secrets. Why is nobody telling anyone that they're having visions and that they're seeing things? Like, maybe we could connect the dots from what you're seeing. Now, let's get to Tabitha and Henry, who I just like to call Victor's dad. So, we discover a bottle tree in the backyard that Victor's mom created. And we, of course, know, and Tabitha tells Victor's dad that there's a tree just like that in the From Town. But this is actually just a replica. We end up telling Tabitha that there is the original tree, that bottle tree that Miranda created, that's like 30 minutes away at some park. And we end up having Tabitha convincing Victor's dad to take her to the tree, even though he's like, you need sleep. But she's adamant, like, please take me there right now. They get into the car, and I swear to God, the second we're getting in the car to go somewhere, I literally said, Are they going to come across that down tree? Like the second we mentioned getting into a car. But Tabitha really irked my nerves this episode. She is super adamant that Victor's dad take her to this tree, right? We get into the car and there's a tape in and this song comes on that just so happens to be it's Victor's wife's Miranda. It's her favorite song, and it just so happens to be Tabitha and Jim's song. Now, Tabitha says how she's getting a little like car sick, so Victor's dad tells her, hey, look in the glove box, there's some crackers. Tabitha finds a bracelet in the glove box. That is the same bracelet she made for Jim that they lost at the hospital that she found in the From Diner. And she starts freaking out. Victor's dad doesn't know what's going on. He's like, Miranda made that for me. What's the problem? And that's when Tabitha turns into an idiot. And she's like, this isn't real. This is just more of that place torturing me. And she's adamant about wanting to get out of the car. And I personally didn't think this made any sense at all. Because for one, I feel like whatever the From is orchestrating, it has nothing to do with Henry. And if you get out of the car right now, where are you going to go and what are you going to do? Like, what's the plan? You found the bracelet in T. Chen's diner. She had nothing to do with the bracelet being there. So just because you find the bracelet in Henry's glove box doesn't mean he has anything to do with From or whatever From is orchestrating. Like, it just really irked my nerve that we're this close. He's literally like, the tree is like, we're close. Let's get to this motherfucking tree. And this is why I was frustrated, because I thought we're finally about to get some answers. Finally about to connect some dots. I feel like we needed to get to that MFing tree. But Henry gets upset. He's like, you don't get to do this. You don't get to show up out of the blue. Tell me the things you've told me. Tell me my son is alive. And then decide you don't want to do this. So they end up kind of tussling. He's trying to pull her back into the car and he pulls off. They get into a car wreck. They wake up in the ambulance. Well, Henry is not awake. He's not conscious. And I'm going to be pissed off if something happens to Henry. But Tabitha wakes up. There's a cop in the car. She's like, you're the woman with the lunchbox that was reported from the hospital. And this kind of didn't make any sense to me. A woman shows up at the hospital, hurt. Why are cops looking for her? Like, why is it that serious? Like, I don't know. I don't know. That didn't make any sense to me. And then we get into a car accident. An ambulance comes. Why does the cop need to ride in an ambulance? Like, I don't know. I could see if y'all suspected Tabitha of doing something criminal, but I skipped out on the hospital bill. Is that really worth the cops? I didn't understand why the cop had to be here. And it kind of feels like it's going to be nothing but trouble. Because then we hear the words, there's a tree in the middle of the road. They are entering the From town at night. And we know that people in town are not allowed to have a gun. The cop is coming in with the gun. People never believe what's happening when they get into the town. This ain't looking good in my opinion. She's going to have a gun. She's not going to believe what we say. And I kind of be feeling like it might sound evil, but I don't know why we be hell-bent. Like when we were trying to force the people on the bus to stay in a diner. Baby, I'm going to tell you what's going on, and then you just going to have to F around to find out. Like, I don't understand why we work so hard to like force people to not go out at night when they first come into the town. Baby, I'm going to let you do whatever the hell you want to do. Like, you going to learn today. People survived in this town for years on years without those totems, having to just hide when the things came at night. So the people that come into the town, if you don't want to believe me, you can just go out there and motherfucking hide. But I just see this not going well. Like, the cop has a gun. We're coming into the From town at night. And I also feel like this will not be a happy reunion for Victor and his dad. I'm not happy about this. Why in the world would Victor want his dad in this hell town? And I'm really frustrated with this storyline of Tabitha. I said in episode 1, I can't stand Tabitha, Jim, Julie. I can't stand that family. But Tabitha was the storyline I was most interested in because I was really excited for her to have made it out of from and for dots to start connecting. And I thought her and Henry were going to like piece things together and figure stuff out. Nothing really came of that. Literally. Tabitha escaped just to come right back, and we're literally no better off than we were when she left. Like, she isn't bringing anything besides supplies in the ambulance. I just feel like I'm back to how I was frustrated in season 2, feeling like I was done with the show. I mean, I'm not done with the show. I do like the show. But I'm back to that mode of frustration. Like, I was super excited last episode, but I just feel like it's like we're moving through mud. Nothing is being resolved. No answers. Nothing at all. And it feels like we're going around the block just to get across the street. Victor survived as a kid alone, no talisman. And I've been saying he has info we need. I'm very curious as to what's in the suitcase. What's in the box? What's in the box? I also feel like there is parallels or similarities when it comes to Tabitha, Miranda, Jim, Henry, Ethan, Victor, Julie, Victor's sister, but I'm not sure exactly what that means. But I have been feeling like I think we need to shake things up. I think we need a huge massacre. We need to kill off Jim and his family. We need like a huge massacre. We need to kill off Ellis. We need to just kill off Kenny. Boyd needs to stay. But I think we need to really, really shake things up and connect some dots. And this is the type of show where you have, of course, the big overarching mystery. Of course, we don't need to solve that. But all of the little things, we need to connect those dots. We need to have something big and really shake something up. But I'm also feeling like at the very end, like the end, is it going to be a repeat of the big massacre that happened when Victor was a kid? And is Ethan going to be the new Victor and be the only one left standing? And I just can't get over my frustration with Tabitha. Like, girl, you had one chance to finally get me to like you. You spent all night with this man. You sat in his basement all night. You didn't sleep. And then you choose to freak out and try to run away from him and mess ish up. Like, it just irks me so freaking bad. But that was episode 3 of From. And I'm still on board. I'm still here. I love Boyd. But I just... And I feel like I'm the type of person, like, I love a whodunit, for example. I love a whodunit. I'm very good at solving a whodunit. When I watch a whodunit, like, I'm eerily really, really good. But a mystery for me isn't fun if it doesn't make no motherfucking sense. If like this whole, we have just been, I feel like when it comes to suspense, for example, like I remember watching an interview with Quentin Tarantino. He was saying how suspense is like a rubber band and you stretch it as far as you can. Baby, we can't stretch that motherfucker for 3 seasons. Like, y'all need to give us something. And I feel like a broken record. Like, it's just irking me. It's irking me. It's irking me. Like I said, I forgot about the nursery rhyme with the bus driver. Like, the house collapsing, your wife shouldn't be digging, the whole, where's the electricity coming from? And we have all these things, the trees moving, the seasons change, like all of these things. It literally feel, and let me know in the comments if you feel differently, but I literally feel like From series could be summed up as a bunch of things happen. Like, things just happen. No rhyme or reason. Nothing connects. Things just happen. Jay been seeing visions since season 1. What are we doing with that? Where are we going with it? Thank you so much for being here. And if you enjoyed my commentary on this episode, make sure you hit like on this video. Make sure you are subscribed. And let me know in the comments, do you agree or disagree with my takes on this episode? How are you feeling about From? Are you on board with Tilly being a part of From and being a plant and being evil? Or are you feeling like me and feel like, nah, she's not evil? I actually feel like I'm not fully on board. For me, Tilly is just a regular old person that came into town like everybody else. But I would be more inclined to feel like Tilly is some type of beacon for good than I am to feel like she's some type of evil or something from. But let me know in the comments how you feel. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.